All right. This is the pre-game show. I am Trellis Williams. This is 97.7, the beat of the capital, and we are glad to be with you. We've got some championship ball game results from this past week in the MHSAA football championships, championship games for all 7 different classifications from 1A through 7A. We got that today. We also are going to be joined by Coach Michael Fair of Grenada High School Chargers. They won the 6A state championship. Congratulations to the Chargers. Also, we will be talking a little bit about basketball here in the state of Mississippi, so we are launching into basketball here on the pregame show. We got a great show for you tonight. This is the pregame show, 97.7, the beat of the capital. Also want to remind you, if you are joining us on YouTube, please be sure to hit the subscribe button to the TSJW Network YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. This is the pregame show. So I want to get into a little bit on our top story. And our top story, of course, is championship football in the state of Mississippi. So let's start a little bit with 1A, Baldwin and Simmons. Now, last week, we kind of previewed that game a little bit. Simmons was undefeated going into the game, 13-0. Baldwin was 13-1. So these two teams, very close in ability. I took Simmons to win this ball game because I thought Simmons, their margin of victories were so high for Simmons. I thought that they'd be able to pull this one out. They take the loss. Baldwin gets the championship, the 1A championship, but they win by a point, 21-20. Coming down to the finish, the Baldwin Bearcats are 1A state champions. Congratulations to the Bearcats. This is their second state championship in the history of their program. The first one was in 2008. So Baldwin winning 1A. Moving on to 2A, Charleston and Heidelberg. Now, I believe that Heidelberg was going to get the win in 2A, and they sure did. They win 38-6. This is a pretty big margin, the largest margin of victory that we saw here on championship weekend. The Oilers winning the championship over Charleston 38-6. Heidelberg finishes 14-1 on the season, and it's their first ever state championship. So congratulations to the Oilers. Heidelberg, the champions of 2A. Now, I know that a lot of people thought that Heidelberg would have a really strong team this year, and they really did back up that talk. 14-1 season, 2A state champions, Heidelberg Oilers. Now in 3A, now this was one that was highly anticipated, Choctaw County and Noxubee County. And this was a really good ball game. I took Noxubee County to win this game. I picked them. They've got a lot of talent. Their quarterback's heading to Mississippi State. Got other guys that are very talented as well. Choctaw County has a lot of talented players too. And the Chargers get the win. 34-27 came down to a final drive, and Choctaw County was able to make a big defensive stand and win the ball game. 34-27, Choctaw County Chargers win the state championship, their first ever state championship, and with a 14-1 record. Very impressive, the Chargers winning their first state championship in 3A. In 4A, we had Louisville and Poplarville. Now, this was a battle of two big-time programs in the state of Mississippi for football. You have Louisville up north, great program, won a lot of football games this season. Only lost one game prior to this one. Poplarville came into this game with 2 losses, but one of them was to West Jones, which is a 6A opponent. I forgot what their other one was to. I believe it was to Hattiesburg, which is another 6A opponent that was undefeated heading into this weekend. But very close game, very close game. Louisville and Poplarville, so the score was 29-22 in the ball game, deep in the game. Poplarville had the lead. On the final drive, Louisville scored a touchdown, and they went for 2 to try to win the ball game. And Louisville missed the 2-point conversion attempt and lost the ball game. That is brutal fashion to lose a football game. I saw this on a Clarion Ledger article. I'm going to pull it up right now, but that it came down to a big choice and, gutsy call. You have to give credit to the coach for a gutsy call because, look, can always criticize decision making, but hey, look, if it would have worked, everybody would look at you as a genius. So sometimes you just have to take take those chances. So yes, with a minute remaining, Louisville scored with 1 minute 23 seconds remaining and failed on a 2-point conversion. Poplarville recovered an onside kick, and the Hornets had to defend 2 plays from Louisville with 20 seconds remaining. So yes, Poplarville able to hold off Louisville. How about that for a defensive stand, stopping a 2-point conversion? Poplarville winning the 4A state championship. I did not realize this. This was their first ever state championship. Poplarville's been successful for many years, but this was their first ever state championship. Poplarville Hornets finished 13-2. In 5A, West Point and Gaucher taking each other on. Now, these two teams, good football teams. West Point getting the win, 28-21. Another really close championship ball game. West Point Green Wave finished 11-3, so they had 3 losses. Most losses out of any of these championship teams. And this was... So in winning this championship, West Point able to defend their title from last year. They're back-to-back state champions. West Point 28, Gaucher 21. West Point Green Wave win their 13th state championship. Talk about a dynasty. West Point Green Wave. Congratulations to them on their 5A state championship. This one, Grenada and Hattiesburg. Now, okay, and I picked West Point to beat Gaucher. 6A Grenada against Hattiesburg. I thought Hattiesburg would win because Hattiesburg was undefeated heading into this ball game. Grenada was 14-1 heading into the ball game. And so the thing about Hattiesburg is Hattiesburg had won a lot of close games throughout the season. They won a lot of close games, and what they showed is that they're able to win in the clutch. Even in the South State Championship against Picayune, Hattiesburg came down to the finish. They won the ball game 39-35. Now they take on Grenada in the state championship game. Now Grenada, their path was a little bit different. They went through Warren Central in the North State Championship, and they beat Warren Central on the road 23-10. Now Grenada, and we'll be joined by their coach, Coach Michael Fair. We're very excited about having him on to the show. But we're going to have him on, but the thing is that Grenada had to win on the road. Warren Central in the North State Championship game, they had to play that one on the road. And then in this state championship game against Hattiesburg, this game was at the campus of Southern Miss, which is in Hattiesburg. So Hattiesburg basically had another home field advantage there in the championship ball game. However, Grenada gets the win, spoils Hattiesburg's perfect season, and delivers them a loss, in Grenada winning the state championship, moving to 15-1 on the season to finish it off. They win 43-14. They stomp Hattiesburg. They stomp the Tigers. And this was a shocker because I picked Hattiesburg to win this ball game. Grenada stomps them. Now, I knew that Grenada had a good shot at winning because last year Grenada was in this championship game against West Jones. They lost to West Jones 35-3 last year. And so you're back at it again, and now you have a little bit of experience from last year. Matter of fact, you have some of your players that were on last year's team, on this year's team, that have championship game experience. So I understood that. I understood Grenada had a good shot at it. But the surprising part was 43-14. So at halftime, it was 23-14. It was kind of a close one, kind of high scoring, kind of close one. They shut Hattiesburg out in the second half, win 43-14, and Grenada just takes over and wins their first ever state championship. So congratulations to the Grenada Chargers. We'll be talking to Coach Michael Fair. You'll be able to hear from him, state championship coach, and he has brought a championship to a school that has a long history. And you're talking about 80 years of football. And how does it feel to be a coach coming in after 80 years of football and bringing a state championship? So congratulations to the Chargers. Finally, in 7A, this is a big one. We had Coach Sam Williams on last week, and you can check that interview out. It is on the TSJW Network YouTube channel right now, the last pregame show. Episode 8. Tupelo and Brandon matched up for the 7A state championship. Sam Williams, head coach of the Brandon Bulldogs, he was here on the show. I picked Brandon to win this game. I thought it'd be very narrow score, but I thought Brandon would win the ball game. And now Tupelo coming into the game was 13-0, undefeated. And the thing about Tupelo is that one thing that worried me about Tupelo was that they had been challenged by a lot of good teams, but kind of what happened to Hattiesburg here. I thought that might possibly happen to Tupelo, where you win a lot of close games, or you're able to get a lot of wins in the regular season, and you don't have that loss that kind of resets your mindset. You know what I mean? That kind of gets you back to work. Brandon did have that loss early in the season against Clinton. Clinton beat him 65-62 at Arrow Stadium, and that shifted the focus for Brandon, and Brandon went on a tear ever since, like dogging on opponents. All season long, Brandon had. So going into this ballgame, I thought the Bulldogs would continue it. Brandon had beaten Ocean Springs in the South State Championship by a large margin. Now, Tupelo had beaten Madison Central by a large margin in the North State Championship. So I probably should have taken a hint from that. But Tupelo winning the ballgame 28-16. And, I mean, look, Tupelo, just a highly, highly talented team. Highly talented team, and Tupelo able to win the championship. And you're talking about Tupelo, they don't even have, they do have seniors, but they're not all seniors. They have a lot of good players on their team that are juniors. And so Tupelo is going to be right back in the mix for next year. Just kind of wanted to look at a little bit of, their main guys. I know their quarterback, their running back, however, the quarterback is Noah Gillen. Now, he was a senior. He's graduating. But top running back, Jaden Hill, who's heading to Mississippi State. He's a junior this year. Averaged 156 rushing yards per game. In the championship game against Brandon, he was able to have 229 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. That's a major performance from Jaden Hill. And just pushing Tupelo to the victory, 28-16, and Tupelo winning their second state championship, their first since 1992. So Tupelo Golden Wave finished with a 14-0 record. Congratulations to them. But for Brandon, just tough. They've been to the state championship multiple times. The Bulldogs have never won a state championship. And when you think about that, you're like, how in the world? But if you think about it, Coach Sam Williams has done a great job. I mean, Brandon hasn't always been a juggernaut, but they all have been in the last few years, and he's done a great job heading up that program. But that's got to be disappointing for him, rest of the coaching staff, and their players. Now you're starting a sophomore quarterback, sophomore running back. So Brandon will be back, and this is kind of what I was talking about a little bit last week. These teams, I mean, you look at 7A, I don't know how you can think anything else other than that Tupelo and Brandon would be favored to match up again next year, because you got a lot of these guys are going to be back. It's going to be a very similar looking matchup if they do play each other. So that will be interesting to see. I don't know. You never know. You never know with football at all. That's what you have to take from this. I mean, look, my predictions are less than accurate most of the time. So just going to have to be honest. So anyway, Tupelo beating Brandon 28-16. Wow. And that right there are your scores from the championship weekend for football. And so when we come back, we will be joined by head coach of the Grenada High School Chargers, 6A state champions. Their head coach is Michael Fair. He will be joining us when we come back. This is the pregame show on 97.7 FM and the TSJW Network. I'm Trellis Williams. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, this is 97.7 FM, the beat of the capital. The pregame show is in session. I'm Trellis Williams, and we are back. Joining me today, a pleasure, is Coach Michael Fair of the Grenada Chargers, who just won the 6A state championship in this state. Coach, we really appreciate you joining us.
Hey, thank you. Excited to be on here this morning.
Absolutely, Coach. So my first question, over the course of this season, I mean, you guys won a lot of games, won 15 football games, which is a lot. I think that's the most in the state. In that championship game, you took on a Hattiesburg team who had not lost all season long, but you guys really laid down the hammer, won by 29 points. Coach, how'd y'all make that happen?
Well, I think it was just a testament to our kids and the preparation, going into a game like that. Our schedule helped us. I think along the way, we played some really talented teams throughout the non-district play, and then I thought our district was really talented and prepared us for this playoff run. We went down week one and played Oak Grove the first game of the year and actually got beat, and then we were able to kind of get on a winning streak after that. But even the Oak Grove game, even though the score wasn't what we wanted, I thought we got better through that. And each week we just kind of built off the week before, and the next thing you know, we're playing for our championship. And we just feel fortunate to get past a real talented Hattiesburg team the other night.
Absolutely. And so just kind of to ask you, what kind of preparation did y'all do going into the season to have such an excellent season? Because, people might not know, but the behind-the-scenes work that gets put in, a lot to have a team that's that successful.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into it. And I thought the best thing we had going for us is we made it to the championship game last year and got beat by a good West Jones team. And we were returning a lot of kids that were on that team, and we just kind of made a goal and that we were going to get back and do whatever it took. So it had a lot of momentum going into the off season. The off season weight and conditioning program, and the other things that we do to get our kids' bodies ready for a grueling 15-week season. Just went off without a hitch, and really the thing that made it work was the ownership that the kids had in it. They really felt like this was a year to make a run, and we were a senior-led football team, and they weren't gonna let anything kind of get in the way of the goals that we'd set in place.
For sure. And so I want to kind of dive in a little bit to last year. So you guys were in the championship game, took on West Jones, and very similar situation this year. West Jones and Hattiesburg come from the same region. They were both undefeated going into this championship game. So in a lot of ways for you guys, this was like a repeat of last year and another opportunity. And this time you guys seized that opportunity. So in the game, it was kind of close to the beginning, but you guys really, really pushed it out there in that second half. Just talk about that game and that transition from halftime to the second half and you guys pulling away.
Yeah, well, we stayed true to the game plan. Our defense allowed us to run the football. And what I mean, once we settled in defensively, we gave up 2 scores on their first 2 drives. And but once we settled into the speed of the game and our kids, kind of settled into that environment and kind of withstood the storm that we knew was coming, they allowed us to kind of, when I say they allowed us to run the football, we didn't have to really play from behind all night. I think that it would have been really dangerous if Hattiesburg had a big lead and they would have forced us out of our game plan, which was trying to run the ball, get first downs, eat up some clock, and eventually, make it, touchdowns in the red zone. So we were able to kind of keep a lead, which kept us in our game plan, which I thought was key the other night. And I thought special teams was a huge factor as well. We've won a lot of games this year, we think, because of our special teams unit. Our coaches do a great job. Our kids buy into the importance of that. And I thought that was evident the other night as well.
Yes, and another thing I want to talk about too is that so in the North State Championship, you guys defeated Warren Central, and that was a really hot team. I mean, they had been doing very well this season. They had won their last, I think 6 games, I do believe, and they play a really tough 9-region schedule as well. And you guys had to beat them on the road, and you guys were able to get that done. Then you head into the championship game, and even though technically that's a neutral field, you're playing in Hattiesburg against the Hattiesburg Tigers. Just kind of talk about having to play on the road there at the end of the season and getting those wins.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of it. We were, Warren Central and us were both region champs, and it was their turn to host. And we knew that going in, that if they defeated South Panola in the second round, that we would travel to Vicksburg. Kind of going back to last year again, we had to travel to Warren Central round 2 last year and came away with a tough win. So once again, we had been there. This team had been there, and I just can't say enough about the experience that creates, and the confidence that creates within the team. So, went to Warren Central last year and had to go back this year, and man, it's just a highly contested game. These games you're talking about are so well coached. Hattiesburg Warren Central, and there was nothing neutral about Southern Miss the other night as
Yeah.
far as neutral field. I mean, they were Hattiesburg folks everywhere, as it should be. I mean, they had a great football team, and the support they had was unbelievable. So it was a great atmosphere for our kids, and to be honest with you, I think our kids fed off of that as well.
Yes, and obviously your team, very talented ball club. You're 6A state champions, but you took on a Hattiesburg team that is known for a lot of their talent. I mean, they got a lot of guys going to the next level, going to play at a high level. How were you guys able to kind of neutralize that enough to where, I mean, you guys won 43-14, not anything that probably, maybe y'all expected it, but overall, people probably didn't expect that. This is an undefeated team that you beat. Just kind of talk about that.
Well, we've got a really good football team. I don't know how many college guys we've got. We've got some guys with some offers. We've got a lot of kids with JUCO offers, and we've got some talent on this team. You don't make it there without it. But our kids play really hard, and our kids play really hard for each other. Our kids play really hard for our community and our school, and it's just a blue collar mentality that we've got here at Grenada. And it seems like when a lot of stuff is stacked against us, we seem to play our best football. And playing against a really talented Hattiesburg team, like you said, on the road and in front of possibly 10,000 Hattiesburg fans, our kids, they like that. They play hard in that atmosphere. And I thought it was a really good example of how we played the other night, is how we've played all year. And these kids, they don't worry about stats. They don't worry about, all that type of stuff. They just worry about playing for each other and what it takes to win. And they were able to put that together and play well the other night.
Yes, folks, this is the pregame show. I'm Trellis Williams, right here with me, Coach Michael Fair of the Grenada Chargers, 6A state champions. Last question I want to ask you, Coach. This is the first ever time in the history of your school won the state championship. That's a huge deal. So as far as moving forward in this program, how much do you think that's gonna weigh there in that school, that, hey, look, we're defending state champions, and then in the future you got a state championship banner to hang?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's great for this community. It's great for this town. Man, we had a lot of people down there as well. I know we didn't have as many as Hattiesburg. We have a lot of people that drove 3.5 hours to get down there the night. And this community, they were hungry for that. And so to see them, celebrate and all the accomplishments that this team's been able to do these last couple of years has been great. As far as the kids are concerned, this just gives you momentum. There's absolutely zero complacency with any of our coaches or our kids. Everybody's happy and excited. But we went back to work on Monday, and we were in the weight room Monday getting ready for the next group. And I think that's what you've got to do. That's what Mississippi high school football requires. If you're gonna be relevant in 6A ball, you can't take a day off because somebody right down the road's not. And that's just who it is. That's what we sign up for, and we want to be in the mix for a long time, and I think we have everything in place to have that.
Yes, Coach, we appreciate you joining us. I can attest to what you're saying about being in the weight room on Monday, because, Coach, I gave you a call to ask you to be on this show, and you're in the weight room, and I'm thinking, oh, Coach, no breaks at all.
That's right. Yep. I think it's important. It's important for our kids and coaches to and here's the thing. I mean, we told them what we were going to do. Our kids were excited. They're ready. I mean, that's if we could start spring football tomorrow, these kids would be excited. Now, I need a little break. I'm gonna be honest with you, but these kids are ready to go, and going through a run like this just makes them even hungrier. So we're excited for the future here in Grenada.
Absolutely. Coach Michael Fair of the Grenada Chargers, 6A state champions. Coach, we appreciate you joining us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, folks, and we will be back for more right here on the pregame show. I'm Trellis Williams. This is 97.7. Okay, all right, we are back. This is the pregame show on 97.7 FM, the Beat of the Capital, and the TSJW Network on YouTube. And I do want to remind you that if you are joining us on YouTube, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button right now. Also hit the like button and share. Share the pregame show because we cover high school sports broadly, and we got a lot of big plans for this show. We're about to transition into some basketball. We're going to talk a good bit of basketball today. We'll also talk about a little bit of too early type of predictions here for next year in terms of football. And we'll take a hard turn towards basketball for the next couple of months. We'll talk a little baseball when the spring comes around, but we'll also we'll try to have long form interviews with different football coaches, basketball coaches, things like that. Just try to keep you up to date with what's going on around the state and high school sports. So we really appreciate you listening and viewing the pregame show right here, 97.7 FM, the beat of the capital. So let's turn our attention to a little bit of basketball, and we got the top 25 rankings for Mississippi on Max Preps. Looking at them right now. Looking through them, we got some big storylines. One of the big storylines was last year in private school basketball in the MAIS, which of course is the Mississippi Association of Independent Schools, which is the private school association for high school sports. Last year, Jackson Academy, just ruled and schooled. And they had both of Mo Williams' sons, the brothers. They were both on that Raiders basketball team. They finished 35-1 last year. So they were a very good ball club. Their only loss was a 1-point loss to the Raymond Rangers, which is one of the best teams in the state of Mississippi, if not the best, last year. So Jackson Academy had a great year. Now those two players, Mo Williams' sons, they transferred to Germantown High School. And so Jackson Academy was put in a situation where, wow, you lose two of your top players. What do you do now? Well, Jackson Academy is right back at it. They're 7-1. Great start. Beat Callaway the other night, Tuesday night, by 30 points on the road. So this Jackson Academy team is playing very well right now. So I think the Raiders are going to be right back up in the mix of it. A team that they'll have to compete with is their normal type of rivals, Jackson Prep, the Jackson Prep Patriots. They are 9-0. Undefeated start to the season for Jackson Prep. So Jackson Prep, Jackson Academy are going to be in the mix, and the normal Hartfield Academy, 9-1 on the season. They're looking strong. St. Joseph Catholic, they are doing really well, 12-1 record to begin the season. St. Joe's may be a surprise to a lot of people. We're going to keep our eyes on St. Joe's. We'll try to dive in a little closer as time goes on of these teams in Mississippi, of these high school basketball programs. And so anyway, so St. Joe's 12-1 on the season. They are ranked 10th in the state. Jackson Prep ranked 2nd. Jackson Academy ranked 7th. So now that's a little bit of private school. MRA, 6-3 on the season. Of course, they are led by Eric Dampier Jr., the freshman big man, 6'10" tall. Of course, Eric Dampier's son. Of course, Eric Dampier, legendary player from Mississippi State, also played 16 years in the NBA. So definitely have a good gene pool there. He's a good player. Can handle the ball. He's tall. He's elusive. Very good player there. MRA 6-3. They've taken a few lumps this season, but they play tough competition before they get into district play. So MRA definitely doing a good job preparing themselves. Head coached by Richard Dewey's. I mean, he's been coaching for 50-something years. I mean, that guy knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just have to be like, look, tip your cap. You know what I mean? Tip your cap. So there's a little bit of private school action that we'll talk about right there. Talk about a little bit about public school. Okay, so right now, the number one team in the state, according to Max Preps, of course, it's run by an algorithm, Columbus High School with an 8-1 record. 6A program. They are number one right now. Boonville at number 4, 8-2. Jackson Prep, of course, number 2. Oak Forest Academy, number 3. That's another private school team. It's up there. Number 5 is Ridgeland, the Titans. 10-1 record so far. Great start for the Ridgeland Titans. Another 6A program. 7A program in Starkville, the Yellow Jackets, 8-2. Then at number 7 is Jackson Academy, as we talked about, 7-1. Germantown right under Jackson Academy, which is pretty interesting. They're 7-2 so far. Leak Central up in Carthage. 11-1 record, great start. That program has done well the past few years, but they're having a really good start right now. 11-1. Then St. Joseph, 12-1. They're the 10th ranked team. Olive Branch up in North Mississippi, DeSoto County, 6-3 record. They are the 11th ranked team in the state. Hartfield Academy sitting at 9-1 with the 12th ranked team. Now we get an undefeated team right here. Jackson Prep is undefeated at 9-0. The second undefeated team on this list, Pelahatchie, at 11-0. Wow, great start for Pelahatchie. I do believe Pelahatchie's a 1A program, but wow, good start for them as they get it started here, ranked 13th. MRA ranked at 14th with a 6-3 record. They've taken some losses, but a very tough schedule. Coming in at the 15th ranked are the Muddy River Counselors. Now, how about that? That's a homeschool program in the Jackson area. And I'll tell you, we do some coverage of the Muddy River Counselors here on the TSJW Network. You're talking about a very, very exciting team, dynamic ball club. And we're kind of talking a little earlier about MRA with having some, good gene pool there, being Eric Dampier Jr., being the son of Eric Dampier, who had a good NBA career. Well, look, on the Muddy River Counselors, you got two players on the team, the son of Colin's basketball coach, Coach David Sanders. His three of his sons actually are on the Muddy River Counselors. Two of them are two of the stars, and Caleb Sanders, which is David Sanders Jr., and Luke Sanders on the team. Both of them doing a very good job. And then another player in their big three, son Michael Williams, who his grandfather played at Mississippi State in college. Of course, Coach David Sanders played at Ole Miss, all SEC guard, went and played a little bit overseas. So Michael Williams' grandfather, David Williams at Mississippi State, all SEC forward. So you're talking about, hey, look, you got some good stuff going on there. But I'll tell you this, the Muddy River Counselors, if you look at the stats for them, notable stats, they have the top three averages in steals of players. Caleb Sanders leads the way. 5.5 steals a game. I mean, just think about that. 5.5 steals a game. Unbelievable. Luke Sanders is right behind him with 5.2. And then Michael Williams right behind them, 4.7. And you're talking about three guys with right around 5 steals a game. Unbelievable. And those are the top three in the state of Mississippi. And then as far as assists are concerned, Michael Williams is third in the nation in assists per game with a 9.3 assists per game average. I mean, this ball flies up and down the court. And these guys, look, athletic players as well. You see some good highlight dunks as well. Muddy River Counselors, very exciting team. And look, this is the first year that they've had this good of a start. Last year, they took some, these guys, Caleb Sanders and Michael Williams, both juniors. Luke Sanders is a sophomore. So you still have time to go. Last year, you're talking about two sophomores and a freshman. And so they took on teams like Jackson Prep and Hartfield and MRA. They had some tough outings with them. And, you're talking about very, very tough teams there last year. This year, the Counselors have come out rolling, getting some big wins and winning by big margins. So the Counselors have done very well this year. They have a 10-0 start, ranked 15th in the state of Mississippi. Followed up at the 16th spot is Gulfport, another undefeated team. They are 9-0. And then Madison Central at 17th, 6-1. So Madison Central off to a good start. I know that the Jaguars have been had strong teams the last few years. Jaguars 6-1. 18th ranked in the state is Pascagoula with a 6-2 record. Down south, the Panthers. 19th is South Jones, 10-1 record. Now, I know South Jones got Ashton McGee, who used to play for MRA last year, played for the Patriots last season, transferred over to South Jones. He's on that team, and obviously he's doing a great job leading them to a 10-1 record. I know he's got multiple Division I offers, 6'6", handle the ball, can play, great defender, good player there on South Jones. At the 20th ranked is Biloxi with a 7-2 record. Followed up by Choctaw Central, 7-3 record, 21st ranked. Horn Lake ranked 22nd with a 9-3 record. DeIberville is 10-1, ranked 23rd. Followed up by DeSoto Central, who's got a pretty star players, if I am not mistaken. They are They're a good team. 7-4 record, 24th ranked, followed up by Tupelo, 25th ranked with a 3-2 record. Now, of course, how they do with the Max Preps is they put in an algorithm. They look at records. They look at strength of schedule. They look at quality wins. And then they come up with a rating, and then that's how they rank it. So Tupelo ranked 25th or 3-2, which is, obviously not that great of a record, but Tupelo's strength of schedule has been astronomical. And so that's why they are in the top 25 at a 3-2 record. And so it's good to key in all those factors. So that's basketball around the state. And next week we will go into more details on just, the games that are going on, some details. We'll try to bring on some basketball coaches onto our show. We're very excited about the pregame show and where we are wanting to go with it. So I do want to ask you, please turn other people on to this show. We go in depth on high school sports, and I think a lot of people would love to listen and view this right here. This is the pregame show on 97.7 FM and the TSJW Network if you choose to view on YouTube. I'm Trellis Williams, and we want to special thanks to Coach Michael Fair of the Grenada Chargers for joining us on our show. 6A state champions. Congratulations to Grenada. Again, I want to congratulate the Baldwin Bearcats, 1A champions, Heidelberg Oilers, 2A state champions, Choctaw County Chargers, 3A state champions, the Poplarville Hornets, 4A state champions, the West Point Green Wave, 5A state champions, the Grenada Chargers, 6A state champions, and then the Tupelo Golden Wave as the 7A state champions. This is the pregame show. I'm Trellis Williams, 97.7 FM, the beat of the capital. Tune in next week, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We out.